Hello everyone and welcome to the Doctor Who review with me, John Parker, and...
Me, Jack Cowling, and...
Me, Cody Chronotis.
Right, well, I think this episode was more or less quite a good redemption from the last one, to be honest. Would we all agree?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's certainly better than last week's.
Last week's was a definite flush, let's put it like that. This week's was a damn good redemption, with a few issues here and there. But basically, the Doctor and friends travel to 1947 upon the request of Yaz, as Yaz wanted to dive into her family's history a little bit more, mainly to figure out who her nan was in her younger years and what actually happened.
She was impatient.
I suppose we could put impatience.
She didn't wait for her nan to tell her when she was ready. She wanted to find out straight away.
In turn, could have really caused a lot of issues. Spatial time paradoxes and all that.
If none of this had happened, nothing would have changed.
Indeed, that is true. So they arrived in 1947, and of course, getting there, they bump into Yaz's nan's to-be husband. But straight away, we are given a bit of suspense, which I quite liked, because we got that flash from the Doctor's mind of these demon-type creatures.
I thought that was very quick. I thought it was a bit too soon, I got really confused why it just randomly happened. Personally,
I didn't mind, because, well, not so much the flash, but, after they all get into the car and they go ahead and into to the farm. Mm-hmm. And obviously we see the backside of this demon-like creature. That kind of, that cinematography in itself kind of created a bit of suspense, which I got a good feeling from. Yeah,
I wish we'd seen that first and not seen the flash in the Doctor's mind.
True, that is true. I mean, to be honest, I do miss the pre-title sequences. Because they really build up a fair bit of good tension, before the title sequence started. Not saying I don't like the new setting, but it was just a something that we're quite used to in the modern era. So arriving to the farm, they quickly learn that they assume something sinister is going on, and of course, upon seeing these demon-like creatures, they instantly suspect that these things are just killing people left, right and centre. Of course, later on we do find out that is certainly not the case, and they turn out to be undertakers.
Effectively.
Yeah. As one of our friends said, this episode was more or less shared the same theme as Death of the Doctor in the Sarah Jane Adventures.
I think it was an absolute plagiarism of that episode, because Space Undertakers was literally done in that episode.
Yeah.
So the fact that they've just done it again with different monsters, A, is no consistency, and B is, it's already been done.
Yeah. I don't know whether they would have known about that, because the writer is completely different. Vinay Patel is the writer for this episode, so he might not have known that was already done.
Well, yeah, but at the same time, if you're going to write for a show that's had so much history,
well, you would have thought that somebody would have
a little bit of research.
Yeah, you would have thought someone would have tipped him off as, hang on a second, that has been done in a spin-off of Doctor Who, but
I suppose no one really considered that, which is unfortunate. But if it weren't for the backstory that they put in there, the historical facts as well, yes, this episode would have been a lot like Death of the Doctor. But of course, the time that they arrive in is quite an important and dangerous time, where millions of people are potentially going to be losing their lives. So that's hence why these creatures have appeared. I did actually think, the Doctor heard stories of these, what were they called? It was a really long name. It began with
I've forgotten.
It was a name that I certainly cannot remember, but they were basically assassins, millions of years ago, an ancient species that evolved themselves into assassins. But later on, the Doctor learnt that actually they changed their minds, their behaviour, and became undertakers of the universe, of space and time itself. But to be honest, I did wonder why we'd never come across them before. I mean, yes, granted, it's a new episode, a new story, but...
Well, they were supposed to be assassins, and they changed their ways because they lost their world.
Yeah, but apparently they lost their world like years ago, so you'd thought at least the Doctor would have had some sort of encounter with them, you know.
Yeah.
But I suppose the Doctor can't be everywhere, so it's kind of a daft thing to say, so yeah. But it was just something that I'd thought instantly. But, I mean, during, like, the halfway through the episode, there was a lot of tension building up, which I liked, which we kind of... I feel like we've lacked a little bit in this series. Not much tension building, I haven't felt yet. But of course, we've got these assassins who we think are killing people, but there's another motive going on here. Obviously, we found out that younger brother was the one who was actually causing the problems. And when you found that out, it's like, whoa.
One of the points that I wanted to make, actually, was that I've noticed that a common theme over some of these episodes is that you get presented with a threat at the start, and at the end of the episode you find out it wasn't a threat at all. Now that's fine to happen once, maybe twice during a series if it's spread out, but to happen quite a lot, where the threat just dissolves. I mean, for example, the Ghost Monument, there wasn't really a threat there, it just was a game that they were playing and it just disappeared. They were like, okay, we're done now. And then you've got Arachnids, where the spiders were a threat, and all of a sudden, nope, it died at the end, it's fine. And then you've got, I mean, Rosa wasn't really a threat, it was just history playing out. No, we did have that man, didn't we? But he was just shot into past, and there you go, he's done with.
Yeah, he was more or less forgotten afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, it literally, the demons, the villains, shall we say, are just fizzling out in these episodes. They're not remaining a threat. The only one that's remaining a threat is the Stenza, but that was kind of quote unquote ended simply by him being dealt with by the Doctor. Done, you know.
But was the Stenza actually dealt with? Because if I'm remembering rightly, was
he teleported away.
2 or 3,
2,
where they mentioned the Stenza again.
2.
It was 2.
Yeah.
So I think potentially that may be the only villain that we've got.
It might be.
Isn't going to be really, really, really shit.
Well, it might be that the Stenza were the cause of their planet being destroyed. Who knows? Who knows?
Maybe.
It could be that that's part of the recurring arc, you know.
But maybe if they'd slipped something in there, right? Maybe we could have gone, oh, you know.
Yeah. Like
given a bit more of an oomph. Because obviously we had the whole time as child. Actually, we've had a few hints in episode 2, but we haven't had any since then.
No.
I think really what they should do, if they are going to do a story, because we don't really know if they are going to do an actual story arc yet, to be honest, for this series. We don't really know. But if they were, then they should just keep throwing little things out here and there. Not back to back in every episode, but just every now and again. Like you said, your point, John, you know, the villain's turning out not to be too bad. This episode, the villain rather switched. So
it wasn't a villain to start with. Well, it
we
would
thought
have been
it
if they'd
was.
have still been an assassin, but they weren't.
Yeah,
but of course,
we thought the aliens were the villains, but disappointingly, it just turned out, the humans are the villains again.
Yeah.
Although
Getting annoying.
Although interestingly, I will say, good point with education there. I didn't really know much about the partition of India, so that was an interesting thing I learnt from this episode.
Yeah. Which goes back to our original point before about, you know, the purpose of Doctor Who and what it was its original intentions back when it started in the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
So, in all fairness, this episode is quite generic. It still hasn't really redeemed the series much yet. There's still a lot of work to be done after what we've had recently, but this has been it's been a lot more decent than the last one. Let's just be honest with that. It's a lot better than the last episode.
Well, we're in the second part of the season now.
Yes, we are. We are.
It could have been Love and Monsters, and it would have been better than fucking last week's episode. And Love and Monsters is a terrible episode.
Yeah.
But
no,
I've got a few small points to make, just little observations. Okay, I already made the point about the demons popping up into her head, and I thought that was quite quick, and that we didn't really need to see that to start with. It could have started off with the cool little silhouette-y thing that we saw from the back of him. But I did notice when they were observing the holy man, the dust that was around him, we didn't see that dust, I don't think, until the doctor mentioned it. I've noticed that for some reason they do that. The doctor will go, look, this is a thing, and it will come straight to the thing again that we've already seen, and all of a sudden it's got something new about it that the doctor was talking about. I don't like how they keep introducing things as if we're supposed to have already seen it, but we never did. It seems like the crew aren't quite sure how to introduce us to things. They just shove it in our face.
Well, if it was something that was supposed to be already there for the doctor to notice, it should have already been there.
Yeah.
It's already shown the same camera angle of a piece.
Well, I mean, I can't be fully sure. I haven't rewatched the episode, but I don't think we noticed the dust straight away. We should have done. It should have been there, like floating all around him, and then the doctor mentioned it. And I was like, oh, yeah. But they didn't do that. The second thing I noticed is, once again, misuse of the sonic screwdriver. She used it to unhook the rope when she could have used her hands. That was that.
That
was a bit ridiculous.
That was the most disappointing thing about last week's episode, because I wasn't in last week's review. The fact that when it swallowed the sonic, it spat the pissing out of it.
The third thing I noticed was, obviously we've already mentioned that with our friends, but it's the rotor. Apparently the top pillars are connected to the central rotor, which I think is a cool addition.
I didn't really notice that.
I'll probably have to double check that when I replay it, but yeah, it definitely was a thing. I did notice it while they were talking. I actually missed what they were saying because I was so ingrained in watching the rotor thing. Anyway, and the fourth thing, which is the most redeeming quality of this entire series that I am absolutely loving, is the work on the soundtrack. I can't wait for the soundtrack to be released. I love the music going on in this.
The end credits is the strongest part so far, in my opinion.
I was pleasantly surprised with that ending music. I didn't realise that they were... Because I'd read the advanced spoiler-free review beforehand about this episode, and they did mention that they'd used a different theme for the ending. I thought, oh god, here we go. They're not using the actual theme. But no, they made it the theme music, but in,
I preferred the replacement of the ending theme music in this episode.
I did too.
Over how they did it with Rosa, where they just put the same pissing song again that they had already played in the episode.
I agree. I think that the fact that they've actually made it the Doctor Who theme, but in the style of, that was a redeeming quality. I liked that. So I can't wait for the soundtrack when it's released, because there is some interesting music in this series.
I can guarantee it'll be a while until we get that soundtrack.
Yeah. Well, I think
isn't
Stegan's work under a different record company? Because Murray Gold's under Silver Screen, but I don't know whether Stegan is. If he isn't, that might indicate that we get his music earlier.
Don't know, but I'm pretty sure the BBC have some rights to it as well. So
whatever
part they're going to play in this, I have no idea.
I see. I don't know. If Murray Gold was putting his stuff through Silver Screen because that's his company, or because the BBC contract said that he had to do it through there.
Yeah.
Maybe the new guy will have to do the same thing, and we'll have the same problem where a soundtrack will come out 2 years later.
Yeah.
We'll have to see.
Indeed. So, verdicts, guys. So yes, John, out of 10, what would you give this episode?
Quite a bit better than last week's episode. At least this time, they focused a bit more on the antagonist. It wasn't completely focused on the characters, although obviously we did get character development through that. But it was a good mix. So I do like it. I've made all my other points. So I'll say that I think this episode is about just touching an 8.
Yeah. Okie dokie. And Cody, what would you give?
Well, if we're comparing it to the shambles that was last week's episode, then it was very good.
Yeah.
But on a grand scheme of Doctor Who episodes, I didn't think it was... It wasn't complete rubbish.
Yep.
But it wasn't something I'm jumping to watch again.
Yeah, I do.
I agree.
I do get how you feel. Yeah, definitely, 100%.
So, from that point of view, I'm only gonna give it a 5.
Oh, okay,
Oh.
no problem. So yes, totally agree with both your points. I believe this episode was quite a generic one. Not as bad as last week's, definitely. A very compelling story with some pretty good historical references in there as well, which of course is important, especially to this show in particular. Few issues here and there, as we've pointed out. So for me, I'm going to give it... I think I'm going to give it a 7.5. Yeah, I'm going to give it a 7.5, I think. So, folks, that is the end of our review for this episode. We are now, as John said, halfway through the series. So,
Just over.
Just over. So yeah, so let's see how part 2 of
Next
Series
week,
11
China
goes.
looked interesting.
Yes, next week with Lee Mack and Space Amazon. Oh,
Yes.
boy.
Let's see if they're as bad as the real Amazon.
It does look interesting with the bright setting and what have you, and I thought that robot guy kind of looked interesting, so who knows?
Indeed, we shall see. So until then, guys, see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye, guys.
Goodbye.
Thank you, folks, for watching. If you enjoyed, do please leave a like or comment below on this video.
If you want more, on Jack's side is the last video and the recommended video that we've suggested to you.
To stay tuned for more, on John's right is the link to our channel so you can subscribe, and also we have a link to our website if you want more information about who we are and what we do. Until next time,
Take care, stay safe,
and remember,
let your geeky side out. Bye bye, guys.